So, Dr. Hiral, what do you mean by a special child? Like, why do we call them special children?
We call them special children because they have these different abilities, or we can say special abilities, which maybe other children do it in a better way. But to give them a better platform, that is where we introduce them to therapies and
Right.
try to.
So, basically, what you're saying. Hi, this is Mansi, and today we're going to be talking with Dr. Hiral, who's on my couch. Now, why are we talking to Dr. Hiral? Do you ever have this feeling that something is going on with your child? Are you a mom and dad who has an instinct ki kuch hai, but I don't know kya hai? He is behind other kids, but not so behind other kids that you can label him or find a direct diagnosis. And are you a parent who people are telling there's nothing wrong with your kid, why are you thinking this way, you're just making things bad, you're anxious and you're confused. So today we hope to clarify these doubts and have a conversation with Dr. Hiral about differently abled children and issues that might not be so visible. So Dr. Hiral is a part of Middle Foundation and she is an occupational therapist and a pediatric physiotherapist. Right?
Correct.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what Middle Foundation does?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Hiral Paul. I'm a pediatric physiotherapist. I head Middle Foundation. Now, Middle Foundation is a place where we give services like physiotherapy, occupational therapy, sensory integration. This is all taken care by me and my team. And otherwise, we also provide speech therapy, computer education for all differently able children whom we call special. So
right.
we really want to try and reach out and make them more involved and participate in day-to-day.
So Dr. Hiral, what do you mean by a special child? Like why do we call them special children?
We call them special children because they have these different abilities, or we can say special abilities, which maybe other children do it in a better way. But to give them a better platform, that is where we introduce them to therapies and
right.
try to.
So basically, what you're saying, they have different abilities compared to children.
Yes.
So say somebody we consider a normal child, again, consider.
Yes.
They have different abilities to that child.
Correct.
So why we've stopped calling children disabled? What do we call them now?
That's the reason, because they have special abilities, we call them differently abled children.
Beautiful. So the right word is differently abled, not disabled.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's something we're going to use for this conversation.
Absolutely.
Now, Dr. Hiral, tell me, like I introduced this topic, a lot of times the physical differences are apparent. Something is an issue, we go for OT and physiotherapy.
Absolutely.
But what about issues that aren't apparent? What if a mother feels kuch to hai, my child is a little kuch different hai?
Correct. Absolutely. See, this is a very big issue which is coming up in this last some years, because like she said, when there is a physical issue, it is very, very visually apparent, and we go to the specialist doctors and we get the therapies done and things are taken care. But there are issues which a child faces in school, in social environments, in some social gatherings, or even in the house. The interaction of the child is not at par. That's where the parents do realize that, they do feel, rather I would say, that there is something, lacking in my child. So I would suggest that whenever there is something like this, definitely go ahead, try to take help. Try to intervene.
Right. So it's better to, at least, even if you have an instinct, you can't pinpoint this is what is going on.
Absolutely.
Contact a therapist. We will somehow guide you towards the right care.
Absolutely. Because when you will go to the required care, a therapist or a pediatrician or any psychologist or something, that's where they will try to evaluate your child, try to get pinpoint. That's where the pinpointing of the problem will come.
Absolutely.
And that's where you will be able to treat
so,
it.
Dr. Hiral, tell us a little bit about what parents can look out for. When they're feeling ki kuch hai, what are some of the signs and symptoms they can look for which make them feel ki okay chalo, this is the point where I need to go seek help.
Absolutely.
And at what age? That is also
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. Now, when she talks about age, I would use this word, that early intervention. Early intervention is the key word for any kind of issue. So, you start noticing your child right from the birth and all his or her growth phases. If you feel that the child is not giving you good eye contact or has not developed a social smile at the correct age, then that is again a red flag. The child is a little more grown up and they start going to Montessori's, play schools. There, if they try to stay alone, they don't try to.
Dr. Hiral, tell us a little bit about what parents can look out for. When they're feeling ki kuch hai, what are some of the signs and symptoms they can look for, which make them feel ki okay chalo, this is the point where I need to go seek help. And at what age? That is also important.
Absolutely. Now, when she talks about age, I would use this word, that early intervention. Early intervention is the key word for any kind of issue. So, you start noticing your child right from the birth and all his or her growth phases. If you feel that the child is not giving you good eye contact or has not developed a social smile at the correct age, then that is again a red flag. The child is a little more grown up and they start going to Montessori's, play schools. There, if they try to stay alone, they don't try to mingle with other peers.
So social skill issues.
Then if the child is a little more bigger and they have maybe got admitted to higher schools, and they in the classroom you start getting complaints from the teachers of the child is not concentrating or disturbing other children, or handwriting issues or copying from board.
So handwriting issues, copying from books, copying from the board, not making friends, not interacting.
Not interacting, not getting involved in the school games, activities.
So these are some signs and symptoms.
Definitely red flags, just don't take it that okay, my child is maybe introvert, and just don't let it be. That is what I would say.
Seek help.
Yes,
right.
Seek help.
So now this leads me to a very important question. I hear this a lot from friends and peers that my child is Mansi, I can't tell you, he's a problem child. I don't want to call him a problem child, and that for me is a bell. And I tell them, I think we need to have a conversation. That's where I encourage them to come in and have a talk, an informal talk, and then refer them on to you or somebody else.
This is
but what is a problem child and what do we do?
Correct. Now see, what she said is just so true. If a child is not coping up, I would use the word coping up. Okay. If the child is not coping up, because physically the child is absolutely okay, but mentally or socially or emotionally the child is not coping up, that is where the parental pressure really increases, and it somehow directly or indirectly starts showing on the child. So that's where I feel the parents, first and foremost, the parents need to go seek help. That's where they'll be guided, and that's where the child will benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that we see also. Parental counseling is the first step for us.
Like she mentioned, that's the biggest problem, that everybody wants to go and label a child. So please do not do that. Just try to get help. Every child just doesn't fall into the category of autism or just doesn't fall into the category of dyslexia. The sensory processing disorder is a huge spectrum.
So that's one of the things, like I mentioned, the invisible issue.
These are all invisible issues. So just try to get help. Try to get the child evaluated.
So Dr. Hiral, sorry I'm interrupting you, but before I forget this, what is a sensory processing disorder?
Correct. Now, see what happens. Our human system has two systems running parallel: the motor system and sensory system. Motor system, we do see it physically; it's the physical output. But the sensory system is the one which channelizes the motor activities. So, if we take certain small activities like behavior, handwriting, interacting, now these are all guided by the sensory system. So when a child or any person has some sensory processing disorder. Now, it's a huge spectrum which involves emotional, behavioral, social,
Wow, okay.
mental, every aspect.
So give us a small example about a child who might be suffering from sensory processing issues. What would it look like? Like a small example. Ki, okay, the child could be doing
Okay, a
this.
very small example. If we take maybe if it's since it's a child, let's take a birthday party. So it's like, you've been taking your child to the birthday party, and you always see that all other kids are enjoying, mingling with each other, fighting, enjoying the cakes and everything, all the decor and everything. But your child will either stick around to you, or just wants to be in a corner, or either gets scared with the loud noises of maybe balloons bursting, or the decor or the crowd. So these are alarming issues.
So these are
This is-
small
this is-
signs
this is
that
actually
for
one
SPD.
example of sensory processing.
There's way more to it. Just
Oh,
for the
way,
purpose
way
of this
more.
video, we're being
Yes.
extremely reductionistic.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Hiral, now that people are aware of the fact that there might be invisible issues as well as visible issues,
Correct.
and SPD being one of the major invisible issues that we have not discussed, some signs and symptoms to watch out for in your child that might later on appear as a problem for them
Correct.
or a difficulty. So let's talk about how can you handle it, because sometimes we might not have access to therapy, we might not have access to somebody.
Absolutely.
So how do we handle it in the immediate?
Yeah, see, when being a mother or being a caretaker, you get that instinct that, okay, there are certain issues with my child. Definitely, you try to, first and foremost, do try to get in help from a therapist. I agree, there are certain times where, geographically it is not possible for a person to get the therapy on a regular basis. So in that case, you can definitely get a home program from the therapist by getting the child personally, physically evaluated once. That's always important.
Right.
Because until unless the therapist doesn't see and evaluate the child, it's really not possible. Now, the second or the third thing that we could say, there are certain things that, there are some children who show their uneasiness, I would say, or the processing disorder in an aggressive way. Maybe the child likes to bang. No issues. Give a drum to the child. Let the child bang on the drum.
So channelize their energy.
Their energy. That's the word. Try to channelize their energy.
So what about a child who hits other children?
Yes, so when the child tries to hit other children, you just can't say no and pull that child off. No, the child doesn't understand that no at
Right.
all. So at that moment, try to calm him down, maybe by giving him some music with a personal earphones, so that calms the system down.
So
Or try to play with the child.
Okay.
Or give him some other activity. If he wants to hit that time, just play throwing balls or catch and throw with balls, or just give him a lot of compressions with your own body. So these
this
are
on
certain
this
things.
topic, I mean,
Yes.
I have some parents I've been working with, and in our office we always tell them to bust a tantrum or to stop a fight.
Correct.
We get down on the floor
Yes.
at eye level, so the child is not
Absolutely.
intimidated,
Absolutely.
and just hug the child, and what I recommend is rub the child's back from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
And I find that just somehow
calms
switches
the
the
child.
nervous system
It's
off.
the sensory system which
And-
gets channelized.
And I keep
It gets-
saying, shh, we can manage this.
Music works wonders.
Music, I find the heartbeat.
own heartbeat,
Yeah.
your own breathing, the breathing pattern. You just try to match your breathing
Absolutely.
pattern with the child, and the child calms down. Give eye contact. It really helps.
And like with my son, I do this when he's
Yes.
in the midst of a massive meltdown. I just tell him we're going to figure this out.
Absolutely.
I say, shh, first try to stay calm, and
always,
that really helps.
Before taking the child, if you're going to take a child to a school, or if he's going to go to any social gathering, always priorly brief the child about the environment.
So
and the
prepare
child will
them.
The child will be ready.
Okay.
And the child will not show that kind of tantrums which he or she would otherwise show.
Right, so prepare the child,
Prepare the child.
get down on the floor, get to eye level, hug a child,
And always
let
try to
them feel
maintain
your
a
heartbeat,
routine. Always try to maintain.
maintain a routine,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
and shh is a very useful sound.
Absolutely.
Just helping the kids stay calm.
Calm.
Massage their back top to bottom. So these are some small ways you can calm your child down and work with a child who has sensory processing issues.
Absolutely.
So I really hope you've got something out of this conversation. If you feel something is going on, follow your instincts. Like I tell all my parents, if you have an instinct, you are probably right, because you are the parent and you know best. Not me, not Dr. Hiral, nobody.
And I would just like to
if you
add
have an
one last
instinct, figure
thing
it
to
out.
it. Like then there's this question that okay, if the child is verbal, then it's all this is possible. But what if the child is non-verbal?
Oh, that's interesting.
Non-verbal or visually impaired, no issues. If the child is non-verbal, try to give him pictures and cards which he uses as his language. They can develop break cards. We usually use these break cards where the child has 2 or 3 break cards with a yes, with a no, or a complete cross. If the child just wants to go away from that particular environment, the child just shows a break card, and the child, that means that the child doesn't want to be in that environment.
So parents can learn a lot of all these things as they come in.
Respect the child's feelings. That is one
very
big
important
thing I would say. Respect the child's feelings.
Great. So we'll wrap up on that, Dr. Hiral. It was a beautiful and enlightening conversation.
Thank you so
and
much.
I'm really glad we could do this. Please share this video with people solely for the purpose of raising awareness. So even if people were to reach out all over the country, I think we could help a lot of children through this.
Absolutely.
Right?
And the help will be
invaluable.
Will take the child to a great level.